Okay, we're going to go ahead and get started. Thanks again, everyone, for joining today's content marketing webcast, representing your brand on LinkedIn. For background and context, my name is Brittany Curtis. I'm a content marketing consultant here at LinkedIn, and essentially my team is responsible for understanding the best ways to execute content marketing on LinkedIn, as well as continually analyzing the content that is working and not working on the platform. A few quick housekeeping notes before we begin. The number one question that we get throughout these webcast sessions is this going to be recording? And absolutely, it will be recorded, and all attendees will get the recording and deck as a follow-up item. Also, we welcome all questions. I'll be addressing all questions submitted in the public WebEx box at the very end during Q&A. We'll also be monitoring and taking questions through Twitter, so feel free to hashtag LinkedIn content throughout the session. Today we're going to cover off on three main things, starting with the LinkedIn company page and how to best establish your brand's presence. You're going to understand how to identify your brand on LinkedIn, build a network, and gain a following. And then we're going to look at some insights to better understand what your followers want to hear from your brand. Second, we'll move on to showcase pages. We'll talk about when it's best to leverage a showcase page as well as key features of that tool. And lastly, we'll end with a new capability called direct sponsored content, and we'll talk about what that is, how to best leverage DSC, and some best practices to consider when using it. So starting with company pages, your LinkedIn company page is essentially your brand hub on LinkedIn. And on this brand hub, there are three main things you should be doing. First, it's your place to establish your brand's identity. As a company page admin, you'll have access to go in and input what your company is, what you do, who you are, what you're about, the products and services that you offer, as well as choose imagery such as the logo and hero image that best reflect your brand. Once you have your identity set up, it'll be time to start connecting with prospects and customers. And prospects and customers can engage with your company page by following your company. The best way to attract and retain a following is by sharing knowledge. And on LinkedIn, the best way to share knowledge is through content. There are two types of updates that you can share from your company page. The first one and top one on the slide is an organic update. An organic update reach the followers of a company page, and the followers of your company page will receive organic updates in their newsfeed. The second type of update you can send from your company page is called a sponsored update. And this update can be sponsored beyond your followers to a niche targeted audience. This is a paid solution, and you guys can find out more at business.linkedin.com. And if there's one main takeaway that I want you all to leave the company page section with, is that the company page is the gateway to the newsfeed. It's the vehicle in which you should be distributing company content and engaging with LinkedIn members. LinkedIn members are on their news feeds consuming content and reading news, and this is the best way to engage with our members. A very common question that we get is, well, why do LinkedIn members follow companies, and what do they want to hear from us? And those questions led us to conduct a research study this past May to understand why LinkedIn members follow companies. And this study revealed that 73% of people who follow companies do so to learn more about the company. And also, 69% of people follow companies on LinkedIn to stay informed on the industry. So this can help guide the type of updates that you push out to your followers. We took this data a step further and broke it down by vertical or subcategory. As you can tell, followers follow different companies in different subcategories for different reasons. And to highlight a few, people who follow auto companies are very interested in topics and themes affecting the motor industry, while followers of a tech company are most interested in new product launches as well as tech events. Although this data was specifically understanding followers of a company, these are very good guidelines when considering what type of content to sponsor as well. There are roughly around 4 million company pages on LinkedIn. And some of the common feedback that we got from the admins of those company pages is that not all companies can be represented in one single page. Companies are complex, they may be siloed, there may be different lines of business, specific products that need its own identity. And from this feedback, we created showcase pages. Showcase pages are a free solution to help extend your brand's presence on LinkedIn. Showcase pages can allow companies to effectively showcase different lines of business as well as products, segment audiences, and deliver the most relevant content experience to LinkedIn members. Showcase pages can be helpful when establishing three main things. The first thing that it does is allows your specific line of business, product, or service to have its own identity and its own vehicle to distribute content. These pages also gain unique followings. We'll talk about that in a minute. I wanted to highlight some key features of a showcase page, starting with the fact that all showcase pages, like company pages, are discoverable through search. Like I mentioned before, these pages also attract a unique set of followers. And the reason why this is important, let's use Microsoft as an example. It's a very large company with a very large infrastructure and different lines of business and products that they want to showcase. And just because a follower is interested in following Microsoft as a whole, they may not be interested in, let's say, Xbox updates. And this is why those unique set of followers deliver the most relevant experience for LinkedIn members. You'll also notice that showcase pages have a 2-column content feed format that make content very prominent and noticeable on a showcase page. So of course the question is, well, when should I create a showcase page? And I've kind of touched on this before, but I wanted to outline it very clearly. In terms of LinkedIn best practices, we identify 3 main reasons where a showcase page could be extremely beneficial for your brand. The first one being for a specific line of business or an extension of your company that has its own identity and story. Second, for a specific long-term product that requires its own messaging and follower base. And I want to stop and highlight the term long-term because this is very important when considering a showcase page. As a best practice, we do not recommend showcase pages for short-term campaigns or initiatives such as events or things that just have a very specific end date. The idea is to build long-term relationships with LinkedIn members, and by just making a page go what we call an island is not the way to engage with those members. And lastly, if there's a very specific audience segment that's important to your brand and you want to connect with them in a specific way. Overall, when thinking about your content strategy for a showcase page, content should be reflective of the line of business or products and services overall messaging. Content should, of course, be relevant and helpful to the audience that you're trying to engage with. And last but not least, your messaging from a showcase page as well as a company page should be consistent because people want to hear from brands, and especially the people who followed you because they're interested in what you have to say. Here's an example of a brand who leveraged a showcase page to illustrate a different line of business. And as you can see, Procter & Gamble on the left is the company page or parent page in this case, but they have different lines of business that very much have their own identity. For example, Secret Deodorant. And you'll see that on the right, they created a showcase page to represent this line of business. Secret does a great job of leveraging the showcase page to reflect the brand, and that really comes through in the imagery that they use as well as the content that they share. To highlight what content Secret Deodorant is sharing from their showcase page, I've outlined a few examples. And feel free to go ahead on your own and check out Secret Deodorant showcase page because it is a really great example. Overall, Secret's content is helpful and relevant in a professional context. And as most of you know, Secret Deodorant is a female product and they distribute content to resonate with that audience. Here I wanted to just side by side the content that P&G is posting from their company page compared to the content that Secret is sharing from its showcase page. So on the left, you'll see that P&G is really leveraging their company page to attract talent as well as showcase overall P&G news, while on the right, Secret's showcase page is extremely reflective of the female deodorant brand that it is, and content is specific and relevant to the audience that they're trying to attract and engage with. Another example of leveraging a showcase page was to highlight a specific product, and Microsoft does just that with their Office showcase page. As you can see on the right, Office's showcase page is very reflective of the theme of productivity. Content on the Office showcase page highlights product success stories as well as tips. They also include a few great stories around how Office is being used to help children and communities around the world. We've just covered the company page as well as showcase page and its parent-child relationship. Now we'll move into a content distribution conversation around a new capability called direct sponsored content. Direct sponsored content is a way to push brand messaging into members' news feeds without having it originate on the company page or showcase page. Direct sponsored content can help you with three main things. It can help personalize your content and make the content experience as rich and relevant to the audience that you're trying to communicate with. Secondly, it's a very good way to test different types of creative content and copy that you're testing on different audience segments, and we'll talk about this and look at some examples. And lastly, direct sponsored content, also known as dark posting on other platforms, can help control the noise and clutter that may be happening on your company page or showcase page. First, we'll look at how to personalize your content. Here are some great examples of brands who use direct sponsored content to call out the specific target audience that this content is targeted to. So you'll see Citi calling out specifically to entrepreneurs, and you'll see the second example address San Franciscoans, and lastly, Ohio University specifically speaking to healthcare individuals. This makes it extremely relevant to the audience receiving this message, and they're more likely to stop in their feed and look at it because they feel that it's personally meant for them. Another way brands are leveraging direct sponsored content is by testing their content. You can test the headline, image, and teaser text to see which variations yield the best results. You'll see here that Citi tweaked the headline from the back example, just a generic update, to the front example where they showcase it to entrepreneurs and calling out that specific target audience. I personally highly recommend DSC for people who are just, putting their toes into content marketing, and the best way to do content marketing is to test and learn, and direct sponsored content gives you that testing environment without creating clutter on your company page or disrupting LinkedIn members. Another challenge that direct sponsored content can help solve for is balancing multiple marketing departments' needs and the clutter of your company page. So by leveraging direct sponsored content, it's a way to engage with LinkedIn members in the news feed, but keeping your company page free of very niche messages as well as just a higher volume of messages. So a few key takeaways I'd like everyone to leave this webcast with is, of course, establish your LinkedIn company page and engage with members through content. And remember, your company page is the gateway to the news feed. Second, use showcase pages where appropriate to extend your brand's presence and highlight those different lines of business and amazing products and services to our LinkedIn members. Last, leverage direct sponsored content as a vehicle to deliver the most relevant content experience to LinkedIn members. That concludes my planned, structured presentation, and I see the Q&A box filling up very quickly, so I'm going to start answering questions. So please, if you have questions, enter them into the public Q&A box. So give me a minute while I sift through some of these questions. Great question about rich media. Can a video be posted to either a company or showcase page? Yes, you can definitely highlight video assets that your company has on a company page or a showcase page by dropping that, whatever the link is, a YouTube link, into the update box. And actually, if you drop a YouTube or Vimeo link, a video link, into a company update and you sponsor that update, the video actually plays in the feed and it drives really great engagement with our members, as a side note. So thank you for that question. Second question, how do you create a showcase page? Wonderful question. Showcase pages have to be created by the company page granting access to someone to create a showcase page. So all showcase pages have that child-parent relationship to the overall company page, and therefore someone from the main company page would have to grant access to someone else to create a showcase page. And from there, the showcase page admin can include as many admins as they'd like for that page. How does the company page connect with showcase pages? For example, if I have a company page, would my showcase pages link or relate? That's a wonderful question, and I'm actually going to back up my slides a bit because I have a screenshot that will best illustrate the relationship. So here we can use this example. You'll see there's a purple box on the bottom of the Microsoft page, and there you can see that the main company page will showcase a tree to show the relationship between the brand showcase pages and how they relate to that overall company page. And also, if you're on a showcase page and you look at the information of that showcase page, it will clearly state that it's affiliated with the parent company page. Another question around, are showcase pages a free solution? Yes, they absolutely are. So they really do not take long. I like to tell people that if you can fill out your own LinkedIn profile, you can certainly fill out a company page or a showcase page. So again, what would need to happen is the company page admin would grant access to an admin to create a showcase page. Does the direct sponsored content bear any marks or notes that show that it's paid content? Great question. Yes, it does. In either a direct sponsored piece of content or just sponsored content or sponsored updates, there will be a small tag on the upper right-hand corner of the update that says sponsored. Would a showcase page work well for a long-term higher education fundraising campaign? I think because you called out that this campaign or initiative is long-term, it could be a really great fit. And I do want to caveat that we have brands that, maybe don't stick very specifically to our LinkedIn best practices. So if you feel that this is the best way to represent your brand in our ecosystem, then that's a decision that your team can make. But in this case, because you described it as a long-term fundraising campaign, and maybe fundraising, may not happen throughout the year, but you want awareness of the initiative and the campaign to be always on, that could be a really great solution for a showcase page. I got a question specifically around sponsored content and what the dimensions should be for the images. I'm going to go back to the last slide where I have our marketing microsite, and feel free to check out this link where you can find really great case studies on how other companies have set up their presence on LinkedIn, as well as leveraging sponsored content, as well as some nitty-gritty details such as specs. So feel free to check that out there. great question. How many times do you recommend posting per day or week to company pages versus showcase pages? I don't really see a discrepancy of, the number doesn't need to be different between a company page or a showcase page. What's really important here is that you're creating and maintaining a consistent relationship with LinkedIn members. So organically, we have companies that are posting 2 to 3 times a day. And then I'd say when it comes to sponsoring content, we highly recommend 3 to 5 posts to be live at a time. So therefore, as marketers, you can optimize and understand what's going on in the back end and refine that content as we gain momentum and results. Great question. Question around followers. Do people have to go in and follow the showcase page even if they already follow the company page? And the answer is yes. They would need to go ahead and follow that showcase page. And again, the reason why this is the case is to make the experience of following companies as relevant and useful to LinkedIn members. And just because I use the example with Microsoft, just because I want to hear from the overall Microsoft brand doesn't mean maybe that I want to hear from Office or I want to hear from Xbox. Or the other way around, I actually don't want to hear from the general Microsoft page, but I'm super interested in Office and Xbox. So we wanted to give members the flexibility to only receive content in their feed that is most relevant to them. Can you have multiple showcase pages if you have multiple target audiences and major product lines? Absolutely. And to help illustrate that, feel free to go and check out Microsoft's page on LinkedIn. And on the right-hand rail, you'll see all the showcase pages that they have listed. And it's different lines of business, products and services, as well as companies. I don't know in Microsoft's case, but other companies even use showcase pages to highlight companies that they've acquired, and they just want to keep the messaging and identity separate, but show the relationship between the two. Would you use a showcase page for job opportunities that may change but are ongoing? This is a great question. Showcase pages were actually made for branding. It was made to showcase a brand and more of a marketing play. Your main company page actually has a careers tab, and that's run through the marketing solutions business here at LinkedIn. And the careers tab is probably the best place to showcase opportunities and attract talent. We have 11 companies that each have their own company page. How many showcase pages can you have per company page? Great question. To my knowledge, there isn't a hard limit to the amount of showcase pages you can have, and if there is, it's a very high number. So if you have 11, that sounds just right. I think Microsoft is up there. They have quite a few. Would it make sense to use a company page or showcase page for a branch of the parent company? Again, if it's a different line of business that has its own messaging and its own, audience that you're trying to engage with, or if it's a specific product service, or, someone else just said an example about a long-term fundraising initiative, those are all great reasons to create a showcase page. Is the company page free? Yes, indeed. Both company page and showcase pages are free. So it's definitely the foundation of your LinkedIn presence, and it's step one is to establish your company page, and from there you can grant access and create showcase pages and extend your brand's presence on LinkedIn. Great EDU question. I'm with the university. Can you address how company pages are different from university pages? This is a great and common question that we get from the EDU space. The way that we're seeing schools take advantage of both a university page and a company page is the main difference is that currently you cannot sponsor updates from a university page. So universities are actually using company pages to sponsor content and attract, that target student audience that they want to reach. I'm sifting through some questions. Apologies for the silence. Would you say that LinkedIn company pages are focused on B2B and medium to big-sized companies? For example, would it make sense for a bakery or cafe to promote new product releases on LinkedIn? For example, new bread, new pastries, etc. I absolutely think it's a great place to establish, your bakery, cafe, company and promote those new products. It's a very targeted environment, and that's extremely important for a small business, right? Because small businesses are not everywhere, and it's important that LinkedIn gives you guys the option to target, in this specific example, people who are in your area are able to get to your bakery and buy your products. So absolutely, we have plenty of small businesses that have company pages. How do you get people to follow a showcase page? Really great question. So the main way that we see a follower base being built is through content. So again, sharing organic updates to those followers, and when those followers share that update, you gain virality and in turn other followers. But a quicker way to do that is to sponsor content to a much, much larger audience. Again, sponsored updates can appear in people's feeds who don't follow your company yet, but when you see a sponsored update in your feed, it gives you the options to like, comment, share, or follow the company. And this is a really great tactic for companies and showcase pages to gain followers. Could you go through the actual way we could add a video to our homepage, i.e. walk us through the process with pictures? I can't walk you through it exactly in this session, but if you want to go to this microsite listed here on this slide, you should find some resources there. But again, it's dropping the link to the video into a company update, and it will post that video. How do we target specific feeds for direct sponsored content if not coming from our company page? So what I think we're saying here is, how do we target specific audiences if it's not coming from our company page? Direct sponsored content, or DSC, is a paid solution, and you get access into a specific campaign manager tool. And from there, we open up our targeting options. It's very easy to use, self-explanatory, and from there you can choose geo, seniority, function. If you want, director plus in the marketing industry and in these specific regions or globally, whatever your target is, you would find it in that user interface. Does it make sense to promote your group through your company page? One really easy and free way to bring attention to your group on your company page is by featuring it on your company page or showcase page. And you can actually feature a group on your page. If you're the admin of that page, you can go in and just say edit the page, and there will be a field to feature your group. In terms of other promotion, like promoting content around the group, yeah, if your group is a big focus and a vehicle that you're using to engage with members, it certainly cannot hurt to either organically or promote a post driving people to the group. I got a question around costs. So what are the costs of direct sponsored content? Direct sponsored content as well as sponsored content is run on an auction-based model. So given the audience that you're trying to reach and what the competitive landscape is, trying to engage with that audience, that will impact the rates that you guys as marketers will pay. There's a whole algorithm behind that, and what I will say is that the quality of the content that you promote, again, this is all a paid aspect, the quality of the content that you promote can help you win those bids. So it's not all money in terms of winning the auction. If you have if historically your content is extremely engaging, you may be able to win bids at a lower cost. Can you run a poll or survey on a showcase page? This is currently not a capability that we can do directly on a showcase page. However, if you were running a poll or survey on a landing page or a different destination, you can certainly create a company update that you can sponsor or organically feed to your followers that will show up in their news feeds, and then from that update, those followers or target audience can click through to that landing page where they can take your poll or survey. Great question. Again, I'm getting questions, what is the fee of a showcase page? Just a reminder that both LinkedIn company pages and showcase pages for brands are completely free solutions. So to create a company page or showcase page, completely free. To engage with LinkedIn members, you have the option of organic updates. If you would like to take it up a notch and really attract a specific target audience, we have paid solutions that can help you do that. I'd also like to add, I should have touched on this when someone asked the best ways to attract followers. We also have another paid solution called a follower ad or a social ad, and this ad will show up on the right-hand rail of a member's screen, and it will suggest, and I'll use me as an example, Brittany, follow Microsoft, and we can target that to a specific audience segment. It's also a really great driver and effective in building a follower base. Can you delete a showcase page when you no longer need it? Absolutely. You can delete a showcase page if you are the admin of a company page. It will be as easy as a few clicks. And In order to delete a showcase page, an admin would have to do that. And more information on how to do that, you can visit our microsite right there. Okay, I think I'm getting to the bottom of the Q&A list right now. If there's any last-minute questions, please feel free. Just got one. Are paid ads or sponsored posts the only way to reach those who are not followers? Correct. The only way to get in front of non-followers in their news feed would be through a sponsored update. We already have a separate company page. Should we keep it and its followers or delete and move to a showcase page? So I think the question is that you have two separate company pages. Should you make one a showcase page? That depends. I'd say the one differentiator, I think the main differentiator in this type of decision is there a career need on both company pages? Because as a reminder, showcase pages do not have a careers tab. So if you're using both of those company pages to attract talent and it's siloed and separate for a reason, it may make sense for your team to keep it that way. If one of the company pages is mainly for branding awareness and more of like a marketing play, then definitely it could make sense to migrate that into a showcase page. I'm also going to do a follow-up blog post to answer some of the questions that I may not get to or don't have the very specific answer. So I'm actually going to write this question down, and I'm going to write up a more elaborate answer on how to migrate a showcase page and what those options are. So thank you for your question. Definitely look out for my follow-up blog post. Taking a note right now. Getting in some more. What are the benefits of a follow ad and DSC, or direct sponsored content? So great question. They're both just different tactics, different formats. So a follower ad is more similar to a display ad, if you will. It shows up in that right-hand rail, while direct sponsored content is much more of a content marketing play, and you need content to post in the feed, and it will show up in the members' news feed. Direct sponsored content, as well as sponsored updates and company updates, organic updates, they allow for more interaction, so a member can like, comment, share, or follow your company from that one piece of, that one format. Follow ads, the only call to action is to follow that company. Can I connect my company page to my Facebook page, my Facebook company page, so that when I post content on LinkedIn, it will automatically post it on Facebook too? This is not something that we can do like on the LinkedIn platform, but there are many tools out in the space that can allow you that type of organization. They're called social media management tools. So feel free to look those up on your own. We are conducive with many of those tools. Can you have a showcase page for branding without a company page? That's a really great question. So you actually need a company page to create a showcase page. It must have that parent-child relationship. So no, you cannot just create a siloed showcase page. How do I post an ad to suggest following our company page? All information about how to reach our team and get started is on that microsite that you see on the slide. Okay, I'm continuing to scroll through the questions. Are followers guaranteed with follow ads or direct sponsored content? The hard answer is no, and I do want to say that direct sponsored content, sponsored updates, and company updates, yes, follow is one call to action there, and it's a really great way to engage with the audience that you're trying to reach, but it's not, like I said, there's other call to actions, and a lot of marketers are using content marketing and measuring on the back end more like engagement or click-through rates, not necessarily like the number of followers that you're acquiring. So if followers is your main objective, we'll have, our team would be able to consult with you and make sure you're using the right media mix to get that. Can I redesign my page and add new but still be able to keep the old one and see both? I'm interpreting this question as if I redesign my page and add new things, can I be able to keep the old and see both? The answer, if I'm understanding right, is no. Once you redesign your page or update it, and you'll save those updates, and that'll be the new version of your page. Someone mentioned that they might not be seeing the slides, but I only have the Q&A slide up. I was going back just a couple questions ago and referring to another slide, but I've just been on this slide. So if you guys are seeing the black Q&A slide, you're right with me. Okay, seems like a flow of questions have just slowed down. If there's any last-minute questions or things I can address, please enter it into the box now. And I'll wait a few minutes and get some, and if not, I will give you guys the time back. Okay, I'm getting quite a few questions. You guys needed that last-minute nudge. What kinds of content are most successful for sponsored updates or direct sponsored content? Great question. So at a very high level, the type of content, I'm going to even back up. So content marketing is more than putting an ad, in a native ad placement, such as the news feed. It's also about matching that content to what's native to that platform. And on LinkedIn, if you think about our professional contacts and why members are already coming to LinkedIn, it's to get better at the job they have, reach their dream job that they want tomorrow. They want to be productive. They want to be successful. They want to network and know the right people. And all content, around continuing to learn, getting better, always pushing yourself, even very tactical things like, Secret Deodorant sponsored or posted a post that was around what to wear to work on an important interview day. So even things like that do extremely well. But the secret sauce is if your content is around helping members be productive and successful, it's usually a good piece of content. What's the difference between placing an ad on LinkedIn and sponsoring an update? Great question. So we have different ads that we provide to marketers on LinkedIn. A sponsored update is a paid solution, so it is a type of ad. Sponsored updates are the only ads on LinkedIn that appear in the newsfeed, and it's our newest ad and very effective. How would you recommend a bank or financial institution use showcase pages? This is, I would need a little bit more information to answer this question, I think, in the detail that you would like to see. But again, if your financial institution has different lines of business or products and services that have its own identity, have its own, messaging on the back end and content to support it, then it could be a really great use case for a showcase page. Also want to point out that there are many companies, there are also companies on LinkedIn who do, have a very robust presence, are constantly sending updates to our members and engaging with them just through one company page. So, if you don't have a line of business that has its own identity and resources that can produce content for it, or, just reuse content that you have, you may not need a showcase page. We have company pages that highlight different lines of business and products and services just, kind of one-off or when it's timely versus a consistent long-term relationship with our members. My clients loved the recommendations feature we used to have on company pages. Any consideration for that to return? Yes, well, that was a feature that was on company pages. It's not currently on the roadmap for that to return because instead of showcasing products and services through recommendations, we created showcase pages for a much more robust presence for those products and services. I got a question around budget minimums. So why are there minimum budget amounts? Does that mean it won't be effective if the budget is below the recommended amount? Not sure what you're specifically referring to. How we're set up is if you'd like to work with a designated LinkedIn representative, you can do that. There are minimum budget requirements, and if those are not met, we have a whole self-service ad platform. Again, more information about that, business.linkedin.com, and it can outline the budgets needed to work with, my team specifically, or if a self-service option would be the best fit for you. We have very successful advertisers that use both options, or, either one. I'm sorry, I just got clarification. On the self-service ad platform, it has the recommended amount on the side of the budget amount. Yeah, so if you're speaking about the auction interface for sponsored updates, the recommended amount is to help guide you and understand the bid that's going to help, be most effective in winning that audience. So it's really just guidance, we advise that if a target audience is extremely important to you and your content is made to resonate with them, it would be in your best interest to bid aggressively for that target. And it's also a second price auction model. So actually, you would never pay what you are inputting, but rather just a cent above the second highest bidder. I got a few bidding questions, so hopefully that helped. Let's see, I'm scrolling again. I think I hit hopefully most of the questions. Any benefits or additional features for premium subscribers related to company pages? Good question. So a premium profile is just for yourself. Very useful tool, highly recommend it, although it will not affect the company page admin experience. In regards to the bidding system, is it possible to put your ad into the system with a bid and the ad is never shown if you don't win the bid? So correct, your advertisement's only exposed to members if you win that auction, and it's all happening in like an amount of seconds. And your follow-up question is, are there any tutorials on placing ads? Yes, you can go to business.linkedin.com and there is a full sponsored update section. So I highly encourage you. There's videos that can help explain that auction system. Are you charged if you don't win the bid? No. So your ad has to be delivering for you to be charged on the back end. Great question. I haven't seen any questions from Twitter. I'm wondering if those are going to come through. But other than that, the questions in the WebEx have slowed down. So please place any last-minute questions into the box. And there are a few that I noticed need a little bit more thought, and I'm going to respond to those in my follow-up blog post and hyperlink some resources there. So I'm going to hang out for the next 5 minutes in case any other questions come through. But if not, it was really great having you all on the line. Thank you so much for joining, and we'll talk to you soon. Please visit business.linkedin.com for any additional information, and look out for that follow-up blog post. Thank you all. I got a question on where we can access the blog. Great question. The Marketing Solutions blog can be found at marketing.linkedin.com/blog. Again, marketing.linkedin.com/blog. We're coming up to the hour mark, folks. I'm going to drop off. Thank you all for joining, and look out for my follow-up blog posts. Thanks again. Bye, all.